The humans silently withdrew, leaving the council to face its own judgment. Part 1. The Great Chamber of the Galactic Council was built to make everyone feel small. Its walls rose 300 feet high, covered in golden symbols that told the history of 100 species. Floating lights drifted through the air like slow stars. Delegates from 42 worlds sat in curved rows, their seats arranged in a perfect circle around the speaking platform. Ambassador Daniel Carter stood at that platform now. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had served humanity in this chamber for 15 years. In that time, he had learned one thing above all else. The council did not respect humans. They tolerated them. There was a difference. The Drevkai pirates attacked again 3 days ago, Daniel said. His voice was calm and steady. They destroyed the mining station on Kepler 7. 400 human workers were killed. This is the 9th attack in 6 months. The chamber was quiet. Some delegates looked at their screens. Others talked softly to their aides. Very few actually looked at Daniel. High Arbiter Cosmere sat at the highest point of the chamber. He was an Arxelian, a species that looked like tall gray birds with 4 arms. His eyes were black and showed nothing. He tapped one finger on his armrest. "We have noted your report, Ambassador Carter," Cosmere said. "The council will discuss this matter when the schedule allows." When the schedule allows? Daniel kept his voice even, but his hands tightened behind his back. "High Arbiter. Human ships have been fighting these pirates alone for 5 years. We have asked for help 47 times. Each time, the council has delayed." Councillor Vethran stood from his seat. He was also Arxelian, but younger than Cosmere. His gray feathers were darker, and his voice was sharp like a blade. "Perhaps," Vethran said, "the humans would not need so much help if they were better at fighting. My people have protected these trade routes for 10,000 years. Humans have been in space for barely 3 centuries. Perhaps you are simply not ready for the responsibility you have taken on." Some delegates laughed. "Not many, but enough." Daniel heard them clearly. "We did not take on this responsibility," Daniel said. "The council assigned it to us. 20 years ago, when the Arxelian fleet was busy elsewhere, the council asked humanity to protect the outer trade routes. We agreed. We have lost over 30,000 soldiers in that duty. We have never asked for thanks. We have only asked for support when needed. And you have received consideration," Cosmere said. "The council values human effort. But you must understand, Ambassador, there are larger matters at hand. The Velnorian water crisis, the Kelosian trade agreements. These things affect many worlds. Your pirate problem affects only the outer routes." Daniel wanted to shout. He wanted to ask if 400 dead workers meant nothing. He wanted to remind them that human doctors worked in hospitals on 20 council worlds. Human engineers kept their power stations running. Human farmers grew food for species who had forgotten how to feed themselves. But he did not shout. He had learned long ago that shouting changed nothing here. "I understand, High Arbiter," Daniel said. "I will await the council's decision." He returned to his seat. Commander Laura Mitchell was waiting for him. She was a short woman with black hair and sharp eyes. She commanded all human peacekeeping forces in council space. "That went well," she whispered. Her voice was dry with anger. "It went as expected," Daniel said. The council moved on to other business. They discussed trade agreements for 3 hours. They argued about mining rights for 2 more. When a Velnorian delegate complained about the temperature in the chamber, they spent 45 minutes adjusting the climate controls. They did not return to the topic of Drevkai pirates. That night, Daniel sat in his quarters on the station. The room was small and plain. Humans did not receive the luxury apartments that other species enjoyed. He stared at his screen, reading reports from home. His door chimed. Laura entered without waiting for permission. Her face was pale. "We just received word from Earth Command," she said. "The colony on Haven 4 was attacked 3 hours ago." Daniel felt his chest go cold. "Casualties? 200,000. The entire colony. They used some kind of new weapon. Nothing survived. Daniel closed his eyes. Haven 4. A farming colony. Families, children, teachers and doctors and workers who had never held a weapon in their lives. Gone. All of them gone. I need to inform the council, he said. Daniel. Laura's voice was soft now. The council is in night session. They're discussing the color of the new diplomatic flags. I checked. They didn't even pause when the emergency beacon came through. He looked at her. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. What do you want to do? She asked. Daniel stood up. He walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere, out there, Haven 4 was still burning. Somewhere out there, the pirates who killed 200,000 innocent people were celebrating their victory. And here, in this great and ancient station, the rulers of the galaxy were arguing about the color of flags. Send a message to Earth, Daniel said. Priority 1. Direct to the President and the Joint Chiefs. What should it say? Daniel turned to face her. His eyes were different now. The tiredness was gone. Something else had taken its place. Something that looked like ice. Tell them this. They have made their choice. Laura nodded slowly. She understood. After 15 years of insults, after decades of being treated like servants, after 200,000 dead colonists and a council that would not even pause its meeting, something had finally broken. Not Daniel's spirit. Not his hope. Something else. His patience. Laura sent the message. It traveled across the void of space at faster than light speed. It reached Earth in 6 hours. The President read it in her office, late at night, with her advisors standing around her. She read it 3 times. Then she looked up at the men and women who had guided humanity through its first centuries among the stars. Begin the withdrawal, she said. All of it. Every ship. Every doctor. Every engineer. Every farmer. Bring them all home. No one argued. No one asked questions. They had been preparing for this day for a very long time. In the great chamber of the Galactic Council, the delegates finally agreed on a flag color. It was blue with silver edges. They congratulated themselves on a productive session. They had no idea what was coming. The humans silently withdrew, leaving the council to face its own judgment. Part 2. Captain Nathan Cole stood on the bridge of the Earthship Resolute. Through the wide windows, he could see the border station where his fleet had been assigned for 8 years. Alien ships moved past in the distance, carrying goods and passengers between council worlds. His orders had arrived that morning. They were short and clear. Return to Earth. Do not explain. Do not argue. Simply leave. Captain, his first officer said. The Velnorian station commander is asking why we're recalling all patrol ships. He says the next shift isn't scheduled for 2 more weeks. Nathan picked up his communication device. Tell him our ships require scheduled maintenance. All of them. At the same time. He won't believe that, sir. I know. Nathan looked out at the stars one last time. But I don't need him to believe it. I just need him to accept it. Not. The message was sent. The Velnorian commander sent back an angry reply. Nathan did not read it. He gave the order, and 18 human warships turned toward home. They did not fire their weapons. They did not make threats. They simply left. On Council Station 12, Dr. Megan Price gathered her medical staff in the break room. There were 43 of them. 2 human doctors, nurses, and specialists who had worked in this alien hospital for years. Some had delivered babies here. Others had saved lives that alien doctors had given up on. Now they were leaving. I know this is sudden, Megan said. She was a small woman with red hair and green eyes. Her voice was calm, but her hands shook slightly. I know many of you have patients you care about, but our orders are clear. We are to return to Earth immediately. A young nurse raised his hand. What about the patients in critical care? 3 of them need treatment that only we know how to give. Megan had thought about this all night. It was the hardest part of leaving. But she had also thought about Haven 4. 200,000 people who would never need a doctor again. We will write complete instructions for the alien staff, she said. We will explain every procedure. But we cannot stay. What if they can't follow the instructions? Another doctor asked. Megan met his eyes. Then they will learn how much they needed us. The staff began packing that afternoon. They left nothing behind. Every piece of human equipment, every medicine they had brought, every tool and scanner and device, went into shipping containers. By evening, the hospital wing that humans had run was empty. The alien administrator came to see Megan before she left. He was a Colossian, a species that looked like tall, blue-skinned humans with silver eyes. His name was Dorvac, and he had always been kind to the human staff. "Dr. Price," he said, "please. There must be some mistake. Your people have worked here for 30 years. This hospital cannot function without you." Megan felt a pain in her chest. Dorvac was not like the council delegates. He had never treated humans with contempt, but he was also not in charge. He could not change what the council had done. "There is no mistake," she said. "We are leaving. I am sorry, but why? What has happened?" Megan thought about explaining. She thought about telling him about Haven 4, about the decades of insults, about the council's refusal to help. But her orders said not to explain. "Ask your council," she said. "They know why." She walked away. Her ship left that night. On 4 different worlds, Kevin Walsh shut down the agricultural stations he had managed for 20 years. These were not small farms. They were vast growing facilities that produced enough food to feed 12 alien worlds. Human scientists had designed them. Human engineers had built them. Human workers had kept them running. Now they were closing. Kevin walked through the last station on Velnorian Prime. The growing chambers stretched for miles, filled with crops that would feed millions. Automated systems hummed softly, doing work that alien species had forgotten how to do. His assistant walked beside him. "Sir, if we shut this down, the Velnorians will face food shortages within 3 months." "I know," Kevin said. "Millions could starve." Kevin stopped walking. He turned to face his assistant. "Do you know what the council said when we asked for help protecting Haven 4? They said it was a human problem. They said we should handle it ourselves." His assistant said nothing. 200,000 people died, Kevin said. "Farmers. Like us. People who grew food to feed others." And the council discussed flag colors while their bodies were still burning. He started walking again. "We did not start this. But we will finish it. Shut it down. All of it." By the end of the week, every human-run agricultural station in council space was empty. Councillor Yenthal watched all of this with growing worry. She was Velnorian, tall and elegant with skin like pale gold. Unlike most council members, she had always supported humanity. She had spoken up for them in meetings. She had tried to change how they were treated. Now she saw the pattern that others missed. She went to High Arbiter Cosmere with her concerns. She found him in his private office, reviewing trade reports. "High Arbiter," she said. "We have a problem." "The humans are leaving." Cosmere did not look up from his screen. "Leaving what?" "Everything. Their military ships have withdrawn from patrol routes. Their doctors have resigned from our hospitals. Their agricultural staff have closed their stations. In the past month, over 20,000 humans have left council space." Now Cosmere looked at her. His black eyes showed a flicker of interest. "They are upset about the colony attack. This is expected. They will calm down." "I do not think so. This is not random. It is organized. Every human, in every position, is leaving at the same time. This is not anger. This is a plan." Cosmere waved one of his 4 hands dismissively. "Let them throw their tantrum. When they realize they need council resources, they will return. Humans have always needed us more than we need them." Yenthal wanted to argue. She wanted to show him the reports, the numbers, the evidence that human work touched every part of council society. But she knew he would not listen. He had never listened. She left his office with a heavy heart. 3 weeks later, the last human ship departed council space. Ambassador Daniel Carter stood at his window, as the station grew smaller behind them. He felt no joy, only sadness and relief mixed together. Laura Mitchell joined him at the window. It's done. Every human is out. The formal notice? Delivered 1 hour ago. To every council species. To every news outlet. To every government office in council space. Daniel nodded. The message was simple. Just 2 sentences. Humanity withdraws from the Interstellar Council. Effective immediately. We wish you well in the challenges ahead. No explanation. No demands. No anger. Just goodbye. In the Great Chamber, High Arbiter Cosmere received the message during a routine session. He read it twice. Then he looked up at the assembled delegates. The humans have formally withdrawn from the council, he announced. The chamber fell silent. For one moment, a flicker of worry passed through the room. Then Councillor Vethran laughed. Good riddance, he said. Now perhaps we can make real progress without their constant complaints. Other delegates joined his laughter. Not all of them, not most of them, but enough. Yenthal did not laugh. She looked at the empty seats where human delegates had sat for 30 years. She thought about the ships that no longer patrolled the trade routes, the doctors who no longer worked in hospitals, the farmers who no longer grew food, and she was afraid. The humans silently withdrew, leaving the council to face its own judgment. Part 3. 6 months had passed since the humans left. In that time, everything had started to fall apart. High Arbiter Cosmere stood in his private chamber, reading reports that made his stomach turn cold. Each one brought worse news than the last. Each one described another piece of council civilization crumbling. His aide entered with another stack of documents. High Arbiter, Commander Threshnall is requesting an urgent meeting. The situation on the outer trade routes has become critical. Send him in, Cosmere said. Commander Threshnall was an Arxelian military officer. He had been confident when the humans left. He had said their fleet was better, their tactics superior. Now he looked like a man who had not slept in weeks. High Arbiter, Threshnall said. We have lost 12 more ships this month. The Drevkai pirates are everywhere. They attack our convoys at will. We cannot stop them. How is this possible? Your fleet outnumbers theirs 3-1. Threshnall's feathers rustled with shame. It is not about numbers. The humans had something we do not have. Experience. Knowledge. They knew how the pirates thought. They knew their tactics, their hiding places, their weaknesses. We thought this was simple. It is not simple. Cosmere felt anger rise in his chest. Then learn. Adapt. That is what military commanders do. We are trying, High Arbiter. But the pirates are learning faster than we are. And every convoy they destroy makes us weaker while making them stronger. They have taken control of 40% of the outer routes. Trade is collapsing. After Threshnall left, Cosmere called for reports from the medical sector. What he learned was even worse. On Velnorian Prime, a disease called Kethra fever was spreading through the population. Human doctors had been managing this disease for decades. They had developed treatments that kept it under control. Now those doctors were gone, and their treatments had run out. 30,000 Velnorians had died in the past month. The number was growing every day. On Kelosian worlds, similar problems were appearing. Human specialists had treated conditions that alien doctors did not understand. Now those patients were dying or suffering without help. Hospitals that had relied on human staff were closing their doors. The food situation was worst of all. Cosmere had not realized how much of the council's food came from human-managed stations. No one had realized it. The humans had worked quietly, without complaint, feeding billions of people across dozens of worlds. They had asked for nothing in return except respect. They had not received it. And now, they were gone. Merchant Prince Dorvac requested an audience with the council. He was the most powerful trader in Kelosian space, a being who controlled shipping routes worth trillions. When he spoke, even the High Arbiter listened. The numbers do not lie, Dorvac said. He stood at the speaking platform where Daniel Carter had once stood. His silver eyes were cold with anger. Human trade represented 40% of our commerce. 40%. Ships, goods, technology, services, all of it. Gone. The chamber was quiet. No one laughed now. Our markets are collapsing, Dorvac continued. 3 major banks have failed this month. 2 more will fail by the end of next month. The Colossian economy is entering a depression that will take decades to recover from. And we are not alone. Every council species is facing the same crisis. Councillor Vethran stood from his seat. His voice was angry, but there was fear behind it. Then we must force the humans to return. Send our fleets to their border. Demand they resume their duties. With what fleets? Dorvac asked. Half our military ships are busy fighting pirates. The other half are protecting our trade routes from those same pirates. We have nothing to threaten the humans with, and even if we did, they have done nothing wrong. They simply left. That is not a crime. They are destroying us. No. Dorvac's voice was hard. We are destroying ourselves. The humans built nothing that belonged to them alone. They shared everything. They asked only to be treated as equals, and we treated them like servants. Now we learn what servants really do. They leave. And when they leave, the masters discover they cannot survive without them. The chamber erupted in argument. Delegates shouted at each other. Accusations flew back and forth. Some blamed the humans. Others blamed the council leadership. Some demanded war. Others demanded peace. Cosmere watched it all in silence. He was beginning to understand something terrible. The humans had not withdrawn to punish the council. They had withdrawn because they were tired. Tired of giving everything and receiving nothing. Tired of dying for species who mocked them. Tired of feeding worlds that did not say thank you. They had simply stopped. And now the council was learning what that meant. In the following weeks, the situation grew worse. Food rationing began on 8 major worlds. Riots broke out on Arxelian colonies when the grain shipments stopped arriving. The military could not respond because it was still fighting pirates who grew bolder every day. Councillor Vethran made a public speech calling for action against humanity. He demanded that the council declare war, seize human assets, force them to return to their duties. The next morning, his own people removed him from office. They did not want war with the only species that might be able to help them. They wanted peace. They wanted the humans to come back, but the humans did not come back. Councillor Yenthal tried to reach out to them through unofficial channels. She sent messages to human border stations. She asked old friends for help. She begged anyone who would listen. The replies were always the same: polite, professional, final. Humanity appreciates your concern. However, we have no current plans to resume council membership. We wish you well in your endeavors. No anger, no demands, no threats, just silence and distance. Yenthal shared one of these messages with Cosmere. He read it slowly, his 4 hands trembling slightly. They will not even negotiate, he said. They simply refuse to engage. Would you engage with someone who had treated you as we treated them? Yenthal asked. Cosmere did not answer. He did not have to. By the end of the 6th month, the council was fracturing. 3 species announced their intention to withdraw. They blamed Cosmere and his leadership for driving away humanity. They said the council had become corrupt, arrogant, and blind. Cosmere tried to hold things together. He gave speeches about unity. He promised reforms. He said things would get better. No one believed him. On the human border, a journalist named Ryan Ellis watched the chaos unfold from a safe distance. He was broadcasting to alien networks, showing them what human space looked like compared to council space. Human space was peaceful, clean, prosperous. Ships moved freely without fear of pirates. Markets were stable. Hospitals were full of healthy patients and skilled doctors. Council space was falling apart. Ryan's broadcasts went viral across alien networks. Billions of beings watched and understood for the first time what they had lost. Not just human workers and soldiers and doctors. Something else. Human patience, human kindness, human willingness to give without asking for reward. These things were gone now, and they were not coming back. The humans silently withdrew, leaving the council to face its own judgment. Part 4. 18 months after the humans withdrew, the Galactic Council was dying. High Arbiter Cosmere sat alone in his chamber, surrounded by screens that showed nothing but bad news. The great station of Axiom Prime, once the heart of galactic civilization, was half empty. Delegates had stopped coming, staff had been dismissed. Whole sections of the station had gone dark to save power. Outside his window, the stars looked the same as always. But everything else had changed. Admiral Crevson requested an emergency audience. He was the highest-ranking military commander left in council service. When he entered Cosmere chamber, he walked like a man carrying a heavy weight. "High Arbiter," he said. "I must report the fall of Arxelia Prime." Cosmere felt his heart stop. Arxelia Prime was the homeworld of his species, the center of Arxelian civilization for 50,000 years. "How?" he whispered. "The Drevkai pirates. They are no longer just pirates. They have become a fleet, an army. They control 60% of the outer territories now. Yesterday they attacked our homeworld." Crevson's voice broke slightly. "Our defenses held for 6 hours. Then, they collapsed. The pirates control the southern continent. Millions of our people are under their rule. Our military fleet is the largest in council space. How could this happen?" Crevson met his eyes. There was no anger in his gaze. Only exhaustion and truth. "Because the humans were our real military fleet, High Arbiter. They fought the pirates for 20 years. They kept them weak, scattered, and afraid. When the humans left, the pirates grew strong. We thought we could fight them alone. We were wrong. We have always been wrong." After Crevson left, Cosmere received more reports. The Colossian economy had completely collapsed. Their currency was worthless. Their banks had closed. Billions of beings had lost everything. The Velnorians were facing famine. Without human agricultural stations, food production had dropped by 70%. They were eating emergency rations that would run out in 3 months. The Threl Kari, once proud allies of the Council, had declared independence. They blamed Council leadership for the disaster and wanted nothing more to do with Arxelian rule. One by one, the pieces of galactic civilization were falling apart. In neutral space, near the human border, Ryan Ellis continued his broadcasts. His show had become the most watched program in known space. Aliens tuned in every day to see what he would reveal next. Today, he stood on a viewing platform overlooking human space. Behind him, a human city gleamed in the sunlight of a yellow star. Ships moved peacefully through the sky. Children played in parks. People walked to work without fear. "This is what humanity built for itself," Ryan said into his camera. "Not with council resources. Not with alien technology. They built this with their own hands, their own minds, their own determination." He turned to show the view. The council called humans primitive, weak, unworthy of respect. They said humans should be grateful for the chance to serve greater species. His voice grew harder. Now those greater species are starving. Their worlds are burning. Their children are dying of diseases that human doctors knew how to cure. And the humans they mocked? They are living in peace. They are healthy. They are free. Ryan faced the camera again. "I have a message for the council leadership, if any of them are still watching. You did not lose a servant. You did not lose a worker. You lost a friend, the only friend who was willing to give everything without asking for anything in return. And you threw that friendship away because you thought you were better than them." He paused. "You were wrong, and now you know it." On Axiom Prime, those council members who remained watched Ryan's broadcast in silence. No one argued with his words. No one could. Councillor Yenthal stood before the remaining delegates the next day. Half the seats were empty. The species that had withdrawn were gone. The species that remained were broken and afraid. "We must face the truth," Yenthal said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were full of pain. We did this to ourselves. Every insult we gave the humans. Every time we ignored their sacrifices. Every moment we treated them as lesser beings, we were building the foundation of our own destruction. She looked around the chamber. I remember when the humans first joined this council. They were eager to help. They wanted to be part of something greater than themselves. They offered their soldiers, their doctors, their farmers, their engineers. They asked for nothing except to be treated as equals. Her voice dropped. We could not even give them that. We took everything they offered and gave them contempt in return. We let their colonies burn while we discussed flag colors. We laughed at their pain. We mocked their ambassador for asking us to keep our promises. Yenthal's hands trembled. Now our colonies are burning. Our people are dying. Our civilization is collapsing. And the humans are not laughing at us. They are not mocking us. They are simply living their lives in peace, far away from us, as if we never existed. She took a deep breath. That is the worst part. We are not important enough to hate. We are not significant enough to punish. We are simply irrelevant to them now. We burned our chance at their friendship, and they have moved on without looking back. The chamber was silent. Some delegates wept. Others stared at the floor. A few looked angry. But even they had no words to argue. High Arbiter Cosmere made one final attempt. He sent a diplomatic envoy to Earth. Not a demand. Not a threat. A genuine request for talks. The envoy traveled for 2 weeks to reach human space. They were met at the border by a single human ship. The captain was polite, professional, cold. The humans appreciate the council's message, she said. However, Tarbiev, 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 Earth has no interest in resuming diplomatic relations at this time. You are free to return home. Please do not approach our borders again without invitation. The envoy returned with the message. Cosmere read it in his darkened chamber. The words were simple, but they carried the weight of everything that had happened. The humans were done. Not angry, not vengeful, just done. That night, a group of delegates came to Cosmere's quarters. They were from 5 different species, united in only one thing. They demanded his resignation. You have led us to ruin, their spokesman said. You ignored warnings. You allowed this disaster to unfold. You must step down. Cosmere could have fought. He could have called his guards, arrested the delegates, tried to hold on to power. But he was tired. So very tired. Very well, he said. I will resign tomorrow. Choose your new leader. Try to save what remains. He turned to look out his window at the dying station, at the empty docks, at the darkness that had once been full of light. If anything remains to save, the delegates left. Cosmere sat alone in the darkness for a long time. He thought about Daniel Carter, the human ambassador he had dismissed so many times. He thought about the question he had never asked. What do you need from us? Such a simple question, such an easy thing to say, and he had never said it, not once in 15 years. Now it was too late. The humans silently withdrew, leaving the council to face its own judgment. Part 5. 3 years had passed since humanity withdrew from the Galactic Council. The council no longer existed. Where there had once been 42 species united under one government, there were now 12 separate factions fighting over scraps. Wars burned across what had been peaceful space. Former allies killed each other over food, over fuel, over the dying remnants of civilization. Axiom Prime floated empty in the void. Its great chamber sat silent and dark. The golden symbols on the walls meant nothing now. There was no one left to read them. Daniel Carter stood at the window of his office on Earth. He was older now. His hair had gone completely white. The title on his door said, Secretary of Human External Affairs. It was a new position, created for a new age. His assistant entered. Sir, there's someone at the border station requesting to see you. He says his name is Cosmere. Daniel's eyebrows rose. The former High Arbiter? Yes, sir. He's alone. One small ship. No weapons. He's asking for permission to enter human space. Daniel thought for a long moment. Part of him wanted to refuse. Part of him wanted to send the same cold message that Earth had sent so many times before. But another part remembered something. He remembered that hate was heavy. Carrying it around made you tired. And he was very tired of being tired. Let him through, Daniel said. I'll meet him. The meeting took place on a small station at the edge of human space. It was not a grand location. Just a simple room with 2 chairs and a table between them. Cosmere entered slowly. He looked nothing like the proud arbiter who had dismissed Daniel's concerns so many times. He was thin. His feathers had lost their shine. His 4 hands trembled constantly. Ambassador Carter, he said. Thank you for seeing me. It's secretary now, Daniel said. Sit down. Cosmere sat. For a moment, neither of them spoke. They just looked at each other across the table, remembering everything that had happened. I did not come to ask for help, Cosmere said finally. I know that is not possible. I came to understand. Understand what? How we failed so completely. How we could not see what was in front of us. How we destroyed everything our ancestors built in just 3 years. Cosmere's voice was soft, broken. I have spent these years traveling through what remains of Council space. I have seen the ruins, the wars, the suffering. And I keep asking myself the same question. How did we not know? Daniel leaned back in his chair. You did know. You chose not to see. What do you mean? Every time a human doctor saved an alien life, you knew. Every time our soldiers died protecting your trade routes, you knew. Every time our farmers fed your worlds, you knew. You knew exactly what we were doing. You simply decided it did not matter. Daniel's voice was calm, not angry, just honest. You told yourselves that we were lesser beings. That our work was what we owed you. That our sacrifices were our duty. And because you believed that, you never said thank you. You never asked what we needed. You never treated us as partners. He leaned forward. We did not withdraw to punish you, Cosmere. We withdrew because we finally valued ourselves enough to leave. We looked at what we were giving and what we were receiving, and we realized the exchange was broken. So we stopped. Cosmere's black eyes glistened. And we collapsed without you. Yes. But that was not our intention. That was not revenge. That was simply the truth of how much you depended on us. A truth you refused to see until it destroyed you. The old arbiter sat in silence for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was barely a whisper. Do you hate us? Daniel considered the question. He thought about Haven 4. About the 200,000 people who had died while the council discussed flag colors. About the decades of insults and dismissals and contempt. No, he said finally. I don't hate you. I feel sorry for you. You had a chance at something beautiful. A true alliance between different species. Cooperation that could have made everyone stronger, and you threw it away because you could not let go of your pride. He stood up and walked to the window. Stars filled the darkness outside. We are helping now, you know. Not because we owe you anything. Not because we want something in return. But because suffering is suffering. And we don't enjoy watching others hurt. Cosmere looked up. You are helping? Counselor Yenthal contacted us 8 months ago. She asked for humanitarian aid for the worst affected worlds. We discussed it for a long time. Some of our people said no. They remembered what your council did to us. They wanted you to suffer. Daniel turned back to face Cosmere. But most of us said yes, because helping people who are hurting is what humans do. Even when those people hurt us first. Even when they don't deserve it. I do not understand your species, Cosmere said. After everything we did to you, you still offer mercy. It's not about you deserving mercy. It's about us choosing to be merciful. There's a difference. Commander Laura Mitchell led the first humanitarian convoy into former Council space that week. Her ships carried food, medicine, and equipment. They did not carry weapons or soldiers. They came as neighbors, not conquerors. She met with Yenthal, who had become the leader of the largest remaining faction. The Velnorian looked exhausted but hopeful. "Why are you helping us?" Yenthal asked. "After everything?" Laura smiled slightly. "Because that's who we are. We couldn't be anything else and still be human." The aid convoys continued. Slowly, carefully, humans began to help rebuild what had been destroyed. They did not ask to rejoin any alliance. They did not demand repayment. They simply helped because they could. Some aliens accepted the help with gratitude. Others were suspicious, waiting for the hidden price. Some were too proud to accept anything from the species they had once mocked, but the humans kept coming anyway. Daniel Carter watched the first convoy depart from his office window. He was alone now. The room was quiet. His thoughts drifted to the past, to the future, to everything in between. His assistant entered. "Secretary Carter, the Kalosian ambassador is asking to schedule a meeting. He wants to discuss long-term reconstruction agreements." Daniel nodded. "Tell him I'm available next week." "Yes, sir. Also, the memorial service for Haven 4 is this afternoon. Will you be attending?" "I will." After his assistant left, Daniel turned back to the window. Somewhere out there, ships full of human doctors and engineers and farmers were traveling into the darkness. They were going to help the same species who had let Haven 4 burn. Some would call that foolish. Some would call it weak. Some would say humans should have stayed away, let the council suffer, and watched from a safe distance. But Daniel knew something that the council had never understood. True strength was not about holding grudges. True strength was about being able to forgive without forgetting, about helping without expecting anything in return, about choosing kindness when cruelty would be easier. The council had judged humanity as lesser. They had been wrong. Now they faced a different judgment. Not from humans, from themselves, from the ruins of their own arrogance, from the silence of the great chamber where they had laughed at people who only wanted to help. That was the real lesson. The one Daniel hoped they would finally learn. You did not have to be superior to be worthy of respect. You just had to try. To care. To show up when others needed you and ask for nothing in return. Humans had done that for 30 years. Maybe now, finally, others would learn to do the same. The convoy disappeared into the stars. Daniel watched until the last light faded. Then he turned away from the window and went to honor the dead. There was still work to do. There always was.